Well guys, we're back on the AU again today. Not doing engine stuff so much, but Edward's picked up a Tickford dash. So he's going to switch that over now. You saw in one of the other videos we did an oil pressure sensor, but I think that's either just on or off to trigger the red light that's in the current base series dash. This is obviously the Tickford dash, and it has an oil pressure gauge. We're not sure if we're going to have to change over the oil pressure sender switch on the block, or whether it actually does send something like a 4 to 20 milliamp signal or something like that to give a pressure reading. Anyway, that's to be discovered. We're sort of under the impression that most of this is plug and play, so we'll pull out the old dash and put the new one in. So in order to get this dash out, we're just taking that side panel off. And what do you reckon? It just...
You've got to remove the vents.
The vent's got to come out, and then...
You can just push it out.
Okay, do you want to see if we can get the vent out while I... There's not a clip behind it or something?
No.
Comes. Right, so yes, it took a little bit of force, but that all just pulls out and they all clip back together, so it's not a big deal. Nothing broke, so that's out. So where do you go now, Edward? You... So you've just dropped those two screws out of the top of that, have you?
Yeah.
So I think you've got to just push those little clips in under the bottom. Yeah, just give it a little nudge. That sounded like it popped out. Just going to leave those clips down, I think. Alright, nearly got it. You might have to swivel it and unplug those cables at the back before you go too far. Alright, so now you just got to get those cables. That's good.
Odometer coming up.
Okay. We've got fuel gauge working. Voltage working?
It's saying 10.
We've removed all the bulbs out of the old one and just created a little stash of them here. There you go, that's all the little light bulbs. And we just did a quick test run on this one to make sure there was a indicator light that wasn't working, so we've replaced that. But there's some very, very small bulbs, and they're actually these little ones. Now, we've rescued that again from the old dash, and that goes way down in here. I think it's just the backlight for the speedo. So we're going to try and put that in. It's going to be tricky, I think, but we'll give it a go. Alright, so we're going to try and put this one down in here. Now, I think we're going to have to just drop it in, actually. to tell. All right, and that's just locked in. All right, it's just a trial test. Right, everything's. So just see if those any backlights coming on. Bit hard to tell. Still nothing on the right blinker?
No.
Are we sure we've changed the right one? Is that hazards? Yeah, so it's the bulb, not the wire.
Might be another one.
Let's change a couple of those ones and see. Hi guys, we've done a bit of research. The reason that wasn't working perfectly is it's not quite plug and play. I know we said at the beginning we thought it was, but it's not. So you notice that the right blinker wasn't working. There's a reason for that. There's a couple of other things that won't work as well. Come over here. In the low series, it only uses that plug and this plug here. It doesn't use this top one. Now I think there's 6 pins in 2 rows, so there's 12 pins there in that top plug. It appears when you go from the low series to the high series, some of the wiring to get some of these extra pieces in, and there's some actual gauge lights on here for doors, so it'll actually show you which individual door rather than just one of the doors having an error light. It'll show you which door and boot being open. Those wires need to be plugged in, but the low series, come back here Edward and just show this, the low series wiring to the high series changes. So the blinker, for example, on the low series is the right blinker is one of these pins. On the high series, that wire gets transferred up into one of these ones, and that happens on about 3 or 4 instances. So what we have to do is disconnect some of the wires that are in this plug and connect them to here. Now that would be easy if we had a plug, but because it's a low series Falcon that we're using when we're putting a high series dash in, that plug isn't in the loom, so we've got to make up our own. So we've been to J-Car and we've bought this little plug here. That's a 6-pin plug that actually fits directly into it, and I don't know, you'll have to zoom in real close. They're tiny, these little things. They are the pins. Now we're going to make up a couple of, can you see those? Getting the right size we thought was going to be a nightmare, but we found them within about 10 minutes at J-Car. So the next thing to do is we're going to have to make up a bit of a loom to connect. Now not all of these 12 pins are used, probably about 2 or 3 are. I'll put a diagram up showing which ones get switched to where, and then we're going to put this in, get this done, and then we'll go out to the car, cut the wires off the back of this loom and connect them in. Righto. Right, so these are tiny. You can see that little pin. I'll get closer. How does that work? That end needs to go into there, and that little pin catches in those open spaces and locks it in, I think. But before we do that, we need to get this wire in, and I think the easiest way to do that is, we're just going to load this in here, and right. Can you see that? I think I'm just going to have to cut those edges off there and there. So I'm just going to do that very lightly. I don't want to cut anything I'm just cutting all right. Cut my thumb off. So after we cut that edge off, we're just taking a little bit of the ridge line off that, and then hopefully these two fit in. We've made a new connector. So we're just trial fitting these. That one has to go that way. That one, oh, perfect. I think this has to go the same way. Like that. I don't think it'll go that way. There we go. That should work, and that's relatively tight without being. I wonder whether we, once they're in, I think. Right. We now have two created, and that one goes that way, and on the left hand side, and that goes in, seems to go in. So for those watching at home, that will be, that top lead will be the right hand blinker, which we need to disconnect from here and join under there. We'll do that in a minute. That's the ABS sensor light. On this one, I think it's the park lamp and the dial illumination, and that is 2 and 3, and that goes in too, so that's perfect. That works. So all we need to do now is go to the main wiring loom. We can trim these up a bit and connect these to the main loom, but we've got to do that in the car because the loom doesn't come out. So we'll go to the car and we'll see if we can get that connected now. Okay, we're back at the car, and there's 4 wires that need to be cut off the backs of this plug. So the first one is pin number, now it's going to be 21, and that's a red and blue. It's the second one from the top on the left hand side. So can you see that one, Edward?
Yeah.
The red and the blue.
That one's sticking up.
Blue with a red trace, and that's the second one down.
Yep.
So cut it maybe a finger width from the end, just so we've got enough wire to work with, but we're not right at the base. We'll trim that up like that. Maybe, yeah, that'll do. Okay, now the other one will be number 19, which is 2 below that, and it's a blue and green. What's that one? Is that 2 below it? That's green with a grey.
That's 2 below it. Yeah, that's it. Blue and green.
Yeah, it looks blue and green. Here is it.
That's blue and green here.
Righto, cut that one. Right, peel them back a bit, give ourselves a bit of room. Now on the other side, on the other bank, you should have, the second one down should be orange and brown, pin number 8.
Yep.
Is that the one you got with your thumb on?
Yeah.
Right, and then the second one from the bottom should be orange with like a grey band on it. Should be the second one from the bottom, pin 13. Alright, so brown is pin 13, orange is pin 8, greeny blue is pin 19, and red and blue is 21. So let's strip those back and we'll get some alligator clips onto them and the other one. We'll see if we can get this sort of to work. Right, so we've just, you can see, cut wires and dummied everything up just to make sure. And the right blinker's working, which is a big indicator that we've actually got this right, because that's one of the ones that switches from the bottom plug to the top plug on the high series dash. So we're going to work on the theory that most of these work. We'll test a few more and we'll just see that we've got this, and then we'll got them at least wired up, connected up the right way, and then we'll solder them up. Sit it on top. That's good. 3 down. That's probably enough. I can feel the heat. I can feel the heat in the wire. Righto, all good. And we'll do the last one, and then we'll come back. So there's our completed loom. There's the original bottom plug. We've cut the wires from the bottom line that have to go into the top line and created those new plugs there as we showed you before. And now all we need to do is plug it back into the back of the dash and we'll test it all out again. Righto, once all those plugs are soldered up, just a case of putting them into the right spot again.
It's all back in there.
It's a bit hard to see, but got them all in. Righto. Righto, start her up. That's all working. Fuel, the lights, the ABS sensor light. Now that's going a bit quick. We've just blown a bulb, I think. That's, yep. Okay, let's start her up. What's that? Door?
Door open.
Okay. Tacho's working. Voltmeter's working. Now you put a new oil pressure sensor in, but oil pressure's not going. I don't know, I'll have to have a look at why that is. I wonder. There's no, interestingly though, it's not showing you low oil pressure light. Only low oil pressure on the, just as I say it. How about that? Okay, so there's something wrong with that sensor. We'll have to have a look at that. Well guys, the last video you saw, we're just having a bit of trouble getting the oil pressure gauge going. So we're going to do the oil pressure switch and replace that. But while we're doing it, Edward's got some new oil. So we'll get the oil out of this, put a new filter on and do the oil pressure switch at the same time. And then hopefully we're good to go. So that's the oil pressure switch we've bought. I think it's slightly different to the one that's on there. The other one that's on there just gives you a signal on or off, like high or low pressure, which gives you the light. This will actually send a signal to that gauge. Right, that should make it easy to get to.
Is it coming off?
Just take that off. Okay, I'm doing it with my finger at the moment. Right, okay. Do you want me to thread the other one in?
Yeah.
I'll find the hole. Can you see it?
Do you give it to me and I can do it?
Alright, some 10W50 going back in. Right, it's all topped up, so hang on, I'll come round because we want to see if this new pressure switch is, no.
Nothing.
Nothing? Give it a rev and see if it comes up a bit. There's the oil pressure sensor. Did you put the wire back on?
Yeah.
Well guys, that's the dash done. Don't know what's going on with that sensor. I thought putting a new sensor in for that oil pressure switch would be fine, but we're still getting 0 reading on that. So it might be something to do with the wiring. I'll go back and check it. If I can work it out, I'll post another video. Thanks, see ya. Well, I couldn't leave it where we were last time without that gauge working. We've just fiddled around, just a bit of wiring needed tidying up, and that's good to go. So we'll probably see you next week, or next time, whenever.